There's a species in southern Richtersveld that the total population is 1,000 plants, and half of that plants were removed by poaching.
So the Richtersveld National Park forms part of the II's Richtersveld Transfrontier Park, and this is a Transfrontier Park with Namibia, and that is the II's Hot Springs Game Park. The Transfrontier Park was established for a number of reasons, not just conservation, but especially for the cultural aspects. In the past, the Orange River just used to be a water body. It's now an international boundary separating families and cultures. We do joint operations on numerous aspects with Namibia. So we have joint tourism opportunities. We do joint law enforcement patrols where we do active patrols on the Orange River and anti-poaching operations. The southeastern border of the park is the Richtersveld World Heritage Site. There isn't mining allowed in World Heritage Sites, and hence the opposite side is the World Heritage Site, and where we are being the national park. The Richtersveld National Park is a contractual park with the Richtersveld community. It's land belonging to the community, managed by South African National Parks Board on behalf of citizens of South Africa. The park was proclaimed in 1991. Total area of the main section of the park is 162,000 hectares. There is a small section just outside of Port Nolloth, which is being conserved under the same umbrella. The park, with its proclamation and the contractual agreement, allows for nomadic livestock farming in the park, which includes sheep and goats predominantly. And there's a registered list of community members that are allowed to farm in the park. There's obviously rules and regulations to try and regulate these activities in the park. When visitors come to the Richtersveld National Park, one of the biggest shocks to them is the active mining sites in the park, especially Senderlingsdrift. This is diamond mining, and this has been taking place for many, many years prior to the proclamation of the national park. There's agreements in place for that to take place, with strict emphasis on no new mining activities will be authorized within the park.
Die Bastersheg en die namas in die Richtersveld berg baie waarde aan sekere plante. Voordat die park of die area parkgebied geword het of geproklameer is, het hulle hierdie area gebruik, want hier is gedeelte, hier is areas waar daar medisinale plante voorkom wat hulle gebruik vir medisyne. En na die park geraak het, is ons, jy word nie toegelaat om net in te kom en plante te kollekteer en enige ding te doen vir enige doeleindes nie. Selfs sekere bome mag jy nie die hout van gebruik in die parkie. So daar het reëls ingekom. Maar die reëls is nie so streng dat jy nie toegang tot die park kan het nie. En van die mense kan van die geleenthede of het ook al in die verlede van die geleenthede gebruik gemaak om soos die houte, hierdie prosopis uitheemse bome wat hier groei, wat afgesaag raak. Hulle gebruik dit van die houte en goed en dan verkoop hulle dit weer.
So it's a fine balancing act between conservation, mining, stock farming, which brings its challenges, but it makes the Richtersveld very, very, very unique. The Richtersveld National Park is one of those bucket list items, especially to 4x4 enthusiasts. So people wanting to come to these rugged, extreme landscapes, extreme climates, and with that we've obviously got an absolute menagerie of plants that are available to visitors to see and enjoy.
So here's a nice population of Conophytum jucundum, which is a Richtersveld endemic species with 4 subspecies, and then probably around 20 varieties of each subspecies. So you can, through a microscope, like you do with trees, rings, you can count down the stem of the leaf. You can count the rings of the leaves that was produced every year. So a leaf on this plant can be as old as 50 years. This is the genus that's so highly targeted at the moment for poaching. First it started with the Asian people coming themselves to poach, and then when they were caught too much they started paying locals. The problem is just the demand is growing because of Facebook and Instagram. So it's being shared on Facebook pages like South African succulents or world succulents, and there's 100 or 200 or even up to 500,000 people on the page. And they see this, and Conophytums are very beautiful and attractive, especially when in flower, and because of the huge diversity that you get within them and variation, it's a fantastic species to build up as a collection. But the problem is they are so incredibly localized endemic. There's a species in southern Richtersveld that the total population is 1,000 plants, and half of that plants were removed by poaching. It's very highly likely that that species at the moment is extinct. It's potentially our first species that we lost now through poaching.
Ons skryf van die gepootste plante hier by die kwekery wat in sake betrokke is en ons hou dit aan die lewe van hulle of ons kyk mens nou van watter aan die lewe gehou kan raak totdat die sake afgehandel is en dan sal daar verder oor dit beskik word.
So the park is very fortunate to have assistance from SA Hunters and Game Conservation Association, wherein they have helped immensely with regards to law enforcement and the establishment of certain facilities in the Richtersveld National Park's nursery.
It's one of only 2 nurseries that's managed by the South African National Parks.
Ons hoofdoel eintlik vir die kwekery is om die plante te bewaar vir die nageslag sodat dit nie verlore word gaan nie.
So we're standing in the Conophytum Conservancy, or Conophytum House as we call it. This is a dream that's been made possible by the SA Hunters and Game Conservation Association, for which we are very thankful. There are no one that's providing the world with the species by propagating the species and through a legal process making them available. But we also need to build up a gene bank for the genus because the poaching is at the extent at the moment that in a nearby future it's very highly likely that some species are going to go extinct. Another thing that's important of having these gardens and having a conservancy and house like this is for education for the local community. And at the moment the local community, due to poverty, are highly targeted by the people from overseas that wants these plants and offered money to do the poaching.
Dit is 'n gemeenskapskwekery en dit is deel van die park se bestuursplan, maar dit is 'n gemeenskapskwekery en as mense voel kan hulle kom inligting kry. Hier ons het al 'n paar van die mense gehad wat by die kwekery kom besoek, wat gewone gemeenskapsmense wat net hier deur gaan en sien hulle die kwekery. Kom ons gaan kyk wat daar aangaan. En dan kom hulle miskien hier aan en dan is hulle verras. Want baie van hulle ken van die plante, nie die wetenskaplike name maar ons plaaslike name en dan is hulle verras om te sien, okay, en dan kry uit soms kry ons ook inligting wat ons nie geweet het nie. Ons is in die begin van die ontwikkeling van die kwekery en dit kan nog baie meer uitbrei.
And it's also fantastic to have this facility because by growing species side by side for scientific research, it's a wonderful opportunity to get scientists, taxonomists to come in and do more in-depth studies on a genus like Conophytum. And we're looking forward for continuous joint operation and cooperation with SA Hunters.